So speaking of your challenges and the things that you've gone through, I'd like to just ask, in the journey that you've been through in your life, from small to where you are now, what do you think has been your biggest challenge that
So
you've
I
gone through?
I saw the question, and when I saw the question, I was like, "Oh my gosh, am I gonna go personal on this or
Mhm.
professionally?" Because in every facet of your life, you have like different challenges,
Yeah.
and some challenges are unique, and some of those challenges are very hard. Like you can have a very hard challenge in your personal life and a very hard challenge in your professional life. But I think I will use one that gave me one of the greatest lessons, I guess, in life, so that we can, learn from those lessons. So one of the challenges that I faced, I think it was in my personal life, was letting go of what society told me that I had to be.
Okay.
I think that's what's one of the biggest challenges. So, how that manifests itself in your regular life, it depends. So, it may be your parents telling you that you have to go through a certain degree or that you have to become this type of woman, that you have to marry somebody in order for you to be worth it, right? Or in your professional life, that can be, taking promotions or taking opportunities that don't align with your values and your goals. So whatever that was, I think that having that constant reminder of like, let me choose, let me put myself first, and let's make sure that I'm doing what I want to do because I want to be fulfilled. I think that has been the biggest challenge because I think a lot of people live their day to day into like, this is how the system is and this is how things should be. And then we just have to like fit in into the system. And then not a lot of people are out there saying, well, this, how come this is this way? Why don't we question it? And is this what we really want to do with our lives? So I guess, did I answer your question?
Yeah, so can you tell us, like, one of the big ones? Like, what was one of the, stereotypical things that you had to kinda leave behind?
So stereotypical thing that I had to leave behind. I would say I'm trying to think. So one thing that happened that I thought it was very interesting was when I let my curly hair back out. So I remember when we were having, the Black Lives Matter movement, and we were embracing our roots and everything else. I thought to myself, why don't I have my curly hair? Like I love my curly hair, and it's so funny because I don't have my curly hair right now as I'm speaking to you, but I had it yesterday, believe me. But I just started like, even it's so, it can happen even in the way that you're dressed or the things that you choose to portray or the relationships that you have, is that sometimes we're just doing things out of habit, right? And then we don't embrace like what's naturally ours, what we really like. And I think that was like one of the biggest lessons that I started questioning everything. It was like, why don't I wear the hair however I wanted to wear it? Why don't I go to these places? Why don't I do this hobby that I always say that I wanted to do? So I think that when you start working in one thing, you start realizing what other things you're doing out of habit. And then you have to challenge yourself into like, questioning why you do certain things in your life. And if you're not happy with certain decisions that you made, then start changing them one by one.
I love it.
Hmm.
How did you wear your hair previously?
So previously, I used to wear, the straight hair. I used to wear straight hair most of the time. But, growing up as an Afro Latina, I'm from the Dominican Republic, the way that you look put together is with straight hair, right? That's how I grew up, and that's how they will tell me that that's the way that you should be, look professional, and this is the way that you should present yourself in order for you to be taken seriously, right? So embracing my natural hair was kind of like out of the picture, right? Because you go to salons and they don't even know how to deal with your natural hair. Like in 2022, there's still salons out there that don't know how to style a curly hair. So for me, I had to like learn how to take care of my curly hair and like start showing up another way. So I think that was like a very interesting moment in my life. I tend to analyze and go deep into the mindset. That's what I do. That's what I work. I do work on leadership, but I also work on mindset. So I always go into limiting beliefs, conditioning, programming that we have had in our lives and how that leads to, the certain lifestyle and the quality of life that we are living.
Yeah. So there's people all over the place, women and men who are not leading or living up to their like authentic self of who they actually
Mm-hmm.
want to be. So to kind of like combine that with your hair, which is a very simple um,
Simple.
analogy that
Mm-hmm.
anybody can understand, that when you're transitioning, just so that we can kind of all,
Mm-hmm. Merge it. Mm-hmm.
when you're transitioning from what you've always known, what you've always done, what you've always been taught to something totally different,
Mm-hmm.
what are the steps like mentally that you're taking? Do you take baby steps in it? Do you put it up? Do you wear it down? Do you just go in full fling?
Okay.
How do you do it specifically?
It's
How do
not
you?
a lot of people have hair, right? Let's put this analogy with something that happens in our daily life, right?
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so that's good. So every time I always try to do a self analogy every week or every month, right? About the things that I'm doing with my life currently. And I think that this is something that we should all do. These are some of the exercises that we usually do at the end of the year before New Year's. We try to put together like the things that we want to do, and we want to complete like 12 goals, but sometimes we only complete 3 of them, right? Because this is not how you set your goals. It's not a one-time thing. It's a consistency. You have to do it every single day. So anyway, so I would say that every month or I would say every month, you need to analyze like what you're dedicating your time, like what are the things that you're doing, right? And then start asking yourself whether those things that you're currently doing with your life are those things giving you joy. Are you feeling like you're living your life to the best? Do you feel like you're being your best self? Do you feel excited? Do you feel, you know, are you feeling like you're living? Like, sometimes you talk to people and they tell you like, I feel like I'm just existing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you doing something that really speaks to you? As an example of this is, um, society may tell us that because we are a certain age or because we're a certain ethnicity or because we're certain something, that we cannot do certain things, right? I went and took my son to learn how to ice skate.
Ooh,
I went, they were all kids, and he wanted to learn how to play ice skating. And then at one point, I said, well, I've never done it. I grew up in the Caribbean. Wouldn't it be fun for me to learn how to do that? And then the programming comes in telling you, well, are you sure you should be doing this? Well, why don't you look ridiculous if you're an adult trying to learn ice skating? And then I said to myself, well, how will I feel trying something new?
yeah.
Will I feel great, and will I feel proud of myself that I went and did it? And if the answer is yes, that in the future I'm going to feel very proud of myself, or in the present about doing this thing, why I shouldn't listen to any other voice, right?
Yeah.
So I feel that you have to take baby steps. You have to first analyze what you're doing. Let's say for you, like take an inventory of your life. Like, do you like your work? Do you like your relationships? Do you like how you manage your time? Do you like your health? Like, start looking at all of these containers. I call it life containers. And you have to audit them. Like, you cannot just live your life based on programming, based on habits that we have been cultivating for a long time. You have to really dive deep into why are you doing the things that you're doing. So I always say audit your life, and then look for exciting things that you can do in each category. So, for example, this of me learning how to skate, that was in the hobby category, right? I think about, have I had a hobby that really excites me in the last 2 or 3 years? Like, if that's not the case, like, why, like, I should go and do something that really excites me. And if I'm doing something because when I was 10 years ago, I thought it was a great hobby, maybe it's not a great hobby for me right now at this stage in
Mhm.
my life. So
Yeah.
sometimes we just do things out of habit, and you
Yeah.
just have to question yourself.
Yeah. Definitely. When you are auditing your life, what does that look like?
When you're auditing your life, I would say you will look at a part of your life and you will ask yourself, what will make this part of my life 100%? Like, if I could have a magic wand and I could decide right now that this part of my life, let's say meal planning, right? Or healthy lifestyle, or you want to become a public speaker, whatever that is, whatever goal you have, or you want to become an entrepreneur, you want to launch your podcast, whatever that is, You have to ask yourself what will make this area or this goal 100%. Let's say for somebody, let's say if it's something about eating healthy, you may say, for me, 100% will be that 5 days out of 7, I'm eating vegetables, whatever that is. But what's 100%? And then if that's 100%, you have to be realistic with yourself and then say, am I meeting those 5 meals a week? What did I eat last week? So maybe I didn't meet those 5. So what can I do next week so that I can do the 5 and make sure that I'm meeting that goal? So I would say audit your life is basically you have to start with what you want in that area of your life and then reverse engineer. You have to go back and say, what am I doing right now? And then how can I close the gap?
Beautiful. I love that. How long have you been doing that?
Oh, I've been doing that since I started in the personal development journey. I became a coach. I'm a certified professional coach. And I became a coach because I really like doing personal transformations. I do a lot of personal transformation in myself, with myself and with the people around me, and I enjoy my work. So I started doing this personal development work after going through depression at one point. And my husband, we went to Barnes and Noble, and I'm like looking for a book to read. I'm going through like a very challenging time in my life. And he just picks up a book, like a personal development book. I think at that time it was Tony Robbins' book. And he's like, you should read about personal development. So I started reading about coaching. I started reading about transforming your life. I started reading about leadership, self-leadership. That's why I enjoy teaching leadership and how to lead your life from within and with authenticity. And the more I read books, the more I was like, okay, why I love this intentionality that you can have with your life. So I just like that work. I mean, I love the idea of living with intention and making sure that what you're doing in your life aligns with your values and with your future self, how people call it.
Yeah, definitely. When you think about just life in general and how we're kind of navigating through life, we have our, like you were saying, there's different areas. We have our health, we have our relationships, we have our career. When we're putting all of that together, into one basket, let's say, what would you say is the meaning of it?